Today, I have an extremely special guest, someone that I've been wanting to connect with for quite a while. His name is Dr. Damon, or he calls himself Doc Damon, and I just got his uh, resume or a brief on what he's done. He's had an extraordinary past. I might just read it out so I don't miss out anything. So, Doc Damon is an expert in forensic osteology, biological, and medical sciences. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Anatomical Sciences, an honours degree in forensic osteology, and a postgraduate degree in medicine and surgery. His forensic work includes collaborations with high profile agencies such as the FBI, the United Nations, and global police departments, specializing in DNA identification from human remains and biological evidence. The doc has lectured at multiple universities and medical institutions, a passionate adventurer, sailor, and photographer. He has completed solo sailing expeditions and crossed every desert in Australia, contributing to leading publications like Australian Geographic. Today, he is also the founder of the Bush Clinic, where he develops innovative solutions using his deep knowledge and love of nature and science. Wow, what a life! What a great life you've had.
There is no other outcome but to fall in love with nature, in my humble
Yeah.
opinion.
And so at the
The
end of
more
the
time you
day,
spend out bush.
it's not about knowledge. At the end of the day, really, it's all about our lifestyle, family, connection, nature, and and can you tell us why you wanted to call this the theme for today is your title. It's called The Frequencies of Nature. Do you want to elaborate a little bit about why frequencies are so important or
Wow, where to start? Okay, in 10 seconds or less,
yeah.
everything is frequency. And look, what Tesla was talking about many, many years ago is now almost common knowledge. If you want to understand the universe, look at frequency,
Mm,
vibration, energy, that sort of thing. And really, I see no better place to see those patterns than just looking out the window in nature.
yes.
Because a lot of people forget that we came from nature. That we tend to see ourselves above everything, and that's okay. There's
And
nothing
we
wrong with
we
that.
return to
But we
nature.
came from nature.
We return
That's
back to
right. And we
that's it.
return to nature.
Womb to
Absolutely. And what you just said there is a perfect reflection of a reflection, meaning everything is in a wave.
mm,
We are born, we live, we die, we go to sleep, etc.
yeah.
We run around during the day, we're active, we shut down at night. Everything is in a push pull wave. And I keep referring people back to yin yang. And
Yeah.
for many, many years, when I look at nature, I see all the amazing, wonderful patterns that you've been teaching people about for many, many
Yeah,
years,
like
Jane. It's
beautiful,
right there under our noses.
beautiful snail shells. The keys in nature goes back to everything. And I even have this fossil, an opalized. This one's like millions of years old. I don't even know how many millions, but can you imagine like the records, like
Beautiful.
memory is stored in the shape of this golden spiral. It's just dazzling, and that's what keeps
Absolutely.
me
It
going.
knows what pattern to follow.
So when you were talking about from the womb to the tomb and the outrage that Tesla's knowledge has been lost. It's an outrage because I'm an educator and my mission is to make sure that every child in the world understands who Tesla was. It's got nothing to do with the car. So he was a polymath and he gave us radio, TV, but he worked with crystals. Like the first satellite put in space was called the crystal. Everything in our modern technology, as we integrate nature and technology, it really goes back to crystals, which we'll talk about. But to continue on with what you were saying, because no one knows, most people don't know about Tesla, but in our lifetime, I had the pleasure of meeting Masaru Emoto from Japan, who just came to Byron Bay out of the blue, probably 25, 30 years ago. And I had the pleasure of meeting him. And I would say, for those that don't know him, he was the bridge between um, science, he was a scientist. I think he was the world's top scientist with magnetics, and also he's the bridge between science and the opposite, like metaphysics, what we're talking about. So he's the bridge because he kind of said that he kind of said to popes and religious people that sacred water is actually sacred when you program good thoughts to water. So you're the expert on this. Could you tell me a little bit more about his famous rice flour experiment? What happened when the rice flour was ignored and it went moldy? Could you elaborate on that?
Yes.
Because that is so profound. I think that's going to set the stage for what we're going to be talking about, water consciousness and
Well, very briefly, for your viewers that haven't seen this before, and I will try to narrow my words down to things that they can look up and verify, hopefully scientifically published, etc. And that's what Professor Emoto did. There's a famous little experiment in Japan where there were 3 jars of cooked rice. And this is easily found on Google Images. One would be labeled with love, one would be labeled with hate, and
yep.
one would be neutral. And the general idea was to wake up every day, look at the one, read hate or whatever, and then look at the other one that says love, and so on and so forth for all 3 every day. And after about a month, this absolutely fascinating phenomena occurs. And you can try this at home. I've done it many times. The one with the label love on it seems to be preserved, like better than the others.
I've
The
shared it on
one
my
with the
screen.
negative thoughts,
Can you see the share screen? I've got the power of words. I love you. Can you see the image?
yes,
Yeah, so that's the one you're talking
I can
about.
see that. Yep, 6 dendrite water. Yep. So the negative one seemed to basically go rotten a lot quicker and obviously, and the neutral one was kind of in the middle. So what that demonstrates is that there is a clear link between consciousness and or intent and something going on with the rice. And I'll just point out that the rice was in water. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So
Yep.
that's relevant.
Very
And so
good.
what you've just said for your viewers with that little bit of background, somebody might want to pause the video and go and look it up and then quickly come back. You're saying that there was rice that was ignored and it didn't do so well. And that's fascinating because it makes me think of the ancient, maybe, term mind over matter.
Love it. Yes.
There's a lot of phrases in our society
Mm.
that we speak all the time, and I'm not so sure everybody stops to think about what they're actually saying.
And
But mind over matter, yes, sorry,
it's not just the power of words, it's also the power of our thoughts as well, the unspoken words.
absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely nailed it. So that the rice that was ignored per se, that's an interesting little experiment, and it would seem to me that this is extremely deep physics that boils down to the double slit experiment where you've got waves and particles, but basically consciousness has been demonstrated over and over again to collapse from a wave, so we're back to frequency,
Yeah.
down to a particle. And if you're not paying attention to the rice, does that mean the rice starts to break down, which is what introduces the bacteria or fungus or whatever to go and have a bit of a munch? I mean, it's a very, very interesting point that you raised.
Well,
Very thought provoking
it's
for
interesting
everybody.
as we study metaphysics like this and science and knowledge, it always comes back to is the subatomic particle, is it a particle or a wavicle? I don't know. That's why I'm start
It's
researching.
both.
It could be, that's right. And then someone said it could be spherical. And then the last I heard was that it could be helical, like when we look at DNA. It's double helix, counter-rotating field. So there could be this thing about helicality, whatever that means. So, which is going back to our DNA. So
That's
it could be
exactly
many
what
things.
Walter Russell was talking about.
And I
Yes.
just got an email yesterday
The,
from someone just out of the blue sent, "Oh, you got it all wrong, Jane. There's no such thing as all the atomic elements in the periodic table. Everything is hydrogen. Now everything is only hydrogen exists, which is number one. Like there's all these amazing theories, but we're delving into it. And while we're on the water particle, can I show you an image of, can you talk a little bit? I just want to talk a little bit
please.
about water, the water molecule while we're on Emoto. I'll just share screen. There's a very special image. Um, there's a very special image that I drew on a chalkboard tell me if you can see this large image.
I can see this large image.
Okay, so what we're looking at is,
Structure of water.
yeah, and the funny thing we're going to realize about water, I've got some more images, that water can also act as a triangle, square, pentagon, hexagon. So in 3D, water can shapeshift and become like, say, tetrahedral, cubic, pentagonal, which is when we say pentagonal,
Absolutely.
I mean it's like dodecahedron, like this geometry here. And,
Platonic solids, yes.
and also icosahedral, which is its inverse, and also hexagonal. As you know, when water freezes, it crystallizes at that 60-degree angle, which maybe you can talk about later when you talk about the Vogel crystal. We'll come up to that. But what I want to say about this, this is the traditional view of water. What I learned at school was that there's a bond angle between the oxygen and the two hydrogen, and it's traditionally 104.5 degrees. But we believe, or I mean, this is the metaphysics, but we need to explain this, so it is science, that when water reaches a superstructure, like when it's in the most perfected environment, say on Mount Fuji or some sacred place in the Himalayas, water can reach a superstructure. And the way it does that is that the two oxygens, so if the oxygen is here at my fingertips, the two hydrogens act like a hinge and can go from 104.5 to 108 degrees. There's that critical pent angle. So
It's a magic number.
so that angle, the large angle here in the pentagon is 108, 108. And it's also the key to the digital compression of the Fibonacci sequence. The living mathematics of nature resonates with this 108 pulse. But I just thought it was fascinating that water has a pent angle. I was wondering if you'd like to elaborate just a little bit about that, and I'll just show some other images of water. So if you want to, what does that inspire?
Well,
Geometry of
this
water?
again, very, very deep, fascinating stuff that you're talking about here. And you're right that the typical angle is 104.5. And to me, that's kind of dirty water. And they say that the maximum angle is 109.5, if I remember correctly, which is probably based on a tetrahedron. But you and I, Jane, we both know the magic number is 108, and it has to be that special harmonic in its most purest form. And that's where the magic starts with water. So you're right, you can change its hinge on various reasons. And you don't need to be a rocket science to realize that if you change that angle, you've now changed all of them together, how they fit together in a structure. So if it's not 108, it can't do a dodecahedron, can it? It just can't. It's going to be a sloppy mess. And I love to throw this term around every chance I get, and you'll juggle, Jane, but I always point people back to the concept of liquid crystal.
Oh, I love that.
Ideally, water wants to be a liquid crystal. When it is contaminated, it lacks the ability. And any other crystal, if you put amorphous material in what would otherwise be an organized crystalline structure, well, it can't organize itself properly, can it?
Could we say that the very fact that we can communicate from long distance through the ether right now is because the technology of this liquid crystal screen that was developed by Marcel Vogel, who worked with IBM and developed the liquid.
IBM, yes.
So we're communicating through crystal resonance right now. Is that what we're kind of saying?
That is exactly correct. So the light coming through the screen on, I'm going to say everybody, unless you're looking at an old cathode ray TV tube, good for you. That light coming through is not only polarized, and the modern ones are typically circularly polarized, which is different again, but it's all being filtered through liquid crystal. And what Marcel and his mates were developing to make the flat screen many, many years ago is a whole bunch of little liquid crystals that they could change with electricity. And by changing the angle of the polarized light, it changes the perceived color on the screen.
Right.
So right now, everybody is looking at, I don't know, millions, billions, whatever, of pixels of liquid crystal right now.
Right. The image
all around us.
The image I just have on the screen now, if you can see it, it says liquid water, hydrogen bonds, constantly break and reform. Because everyone's asking, what is the atomic structure of water? Where no one's ever really been able to put their finger and say water is a dodecahedron, but it can shapeshift and become many forms because of these hydrogen bonds that are like
Absolutely.
when we look at ice, we see that the hydrogen bonds are stable because the hexagon is a stable structure. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the basis for a lot of people talking about the memory of water. So we've come all the way back to Professor Emoto now and a bunch of other people like Luc Montagnier, the Nobel Prize winning French legend. He took this whole step further, and there's a fantastic video on YouTube about this.
Yep.
He demonstrated that you could use water to remember a DNA code. And I believe he got it something like 98% accurate. So in short, he got purified water.
Yep.
He used an electromagnetic field to record the frequency from some dissolved DNA, probably 2,000 base pairs out of bacteria or something simple.
Yep.
He literally recorded that signal on a wave file on a computer. This is back in the day. And then he emailed it to another country just to prove a point. They had a film crew lined up. They downloaded the email, played it through the computer as a sound file, and then back into the water, purified water. And they were able to PCR that water, PCR meaning to copy DNA and reproduce the original DNA through email.
Really?
And the poor guy was trashed to the eyeballs. It basically wrecked his career. He went from the top of the pile to the bottom of the pile overnight. And I'll say that you and I have chuckled about this before, Jane, that if you see me being ridiculed publicly, you know that I've hit the nail on the head.
Exactly.
And there's a pattern.
Yes.
And Luc Montagnier is an utter legend because he took it to the digital level and proved that a glass of water can record insane amounts of data.
So is the future of technology,
this has been scientifically shown.
Does that mean that the future sciences that inevitably we're going towards a higher tech and more technologies are going to be based on water awareness, the structure of water as the ultimate?
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, it looks like that's where we're going. It's water.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Whether or not the wider community is ready to accept this or not, it's kind of irrelevant because people can program water with their own consciousness. I can tell you that there are specific bands in the UV, the ultraviolet bandwidth. And if you've got sensitive enough equipment, you can change the intent in the water, which is what Professor Emoto was doing. You can actually read this signature off a spectrometer. It's a whole new area to look into, and it's not even that complicated. It's just that people tend to not believe it.
Okay. So while we're talking about bandwidths and frequencies, you've reminded me of a question I wanted to ask about double phi. First of all, a lot of people who are studying sacred geometry and health are trying to make products so that we can have all these like rose oils and creams and toothpastes and mists so that we can energize our body. But at the base core, we got to understand the frequencies. So a lot of people in the not pharmaceuticals, but the therapeutics industry, they're saying that the highest frequency of any herb or flower, it could be blue lotus, but they're saying that it's rose oil. So let's say people like yourself who have the physical means of measuring frequencies, say people are saying that rose oil is 320 megahertz, and what that means, mega means million. So does that mean the rose oil vibrates at 320 million times per second? Is that a cycle per second? So it's a very fine frequency. So we want that energy. So we want that energy in our body, and also the crystal, like rose quartz. I believe. I think you informed me that rose quartz also vibrates at 320 megahertz. Is that correct? The crystal, rose quartz.
It can certainly harmonize with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in harmonic maths, go on.
I was going to say, what really got me thinking about this is if we ask ourselves what flower represents love. It just sounds like an abstract question. Okay, it is. But everybody will go, well, the rose. And then I'll
Yes.
say, well, okay, what color rose?
Oh,
Like,
yes. Yeah.
if I narrow that down a little bit, eventually someone will go, actually, it's not quite red. It's what they call hot red, which sounds really
Mm.
cool.
Yep.
And hot red has a little tinge of orange on it. So just remember that. If you go back to rose quartz, which is not the same as pink quartz, actually,
Okay.
the rose quartz has the exact same color. And I realized a long time ago, of course, it's pink,
Yeah.
but there's no such thing as pink, Jane. It's actually dilute red.
Is that right? Okay.
And so, yeah, the hot red for the rose
Right.
is actually the same wavelength as the rose, the pink rose quartz. And
Right.
it turns out that that happens to be 639 nanometers of light. Now, where am I going with all of this? If you look up human chakra frequencies,
Yeah.
we might be able to get an image later or something like that. The human heart is at 639 hertz.
Right.
That's the number. So,
Right.
yes. So, if we now go back to the rose oil that you mentioned at the start, so we
Yeah.
talked about the color. If we go
Yeah.
back to the rose oil, the frequency of the oil is around 320.
Yeah.
And actually, the exact number is 319.5.
Yeah. Very
And
precise.
very, very quickly, the 319.5 is a combination of 315 and 324.
Okay.
And all of them add up to 9, incidentally. So if
Okay.
you put these two together, you get 319.5. And some quick sums in the head, if you double that number, you get precisely 639.
So can I recap that?
So
Can I summarize what you just said to my
please,
audience?
it's a mouthful. Yeah.
So the people that I work, study with, and learn from as well, my students, we're learning a thing called harmonic maths. So harmonic maths is not understood because what it means is that you can slide the decimal to the left to make a number smaller, or slide the decimal to the right, and so it means we can take that big number like 320 million and drop 6 of the zeros and just say that 320 megahertz is a harmonic 320. So, and people say, but how can 320 relate to 320 million? But I guess it's like in atomic structure, you've got the outer electron is the valence. The outer electron is kind of like the memory of the whole. The outer is a reflection of the inner. And this all goes back to base digital compression, where we take away the number 9 from everything and get single digits. So somehow that 320 is a harmonic of the rose oil um, a megahertz. But what I want to do is tie this knowledge, what you're talking about, back to the golden ratio, because that's the key to the universe. So for those that don't know what the golden ratio is, if we take 2 pine cones, we'll look at this pine cone here and say, if you look at it, we know that if I put my finger here, at the top there, we can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spirals going clockwise. And you go, okay, so we assume all pine cones in the world have 8 clockwise spirals. But when you squint your eyes and look a little bit closer, I suddenly see that there's an anti-clockwise. I'm going to put my finger up here, there. But if you look closely now, there's 1, 2, 3, 13 spirals going anti-clockwise. So the pine code, I call it the pine code, the ratio of 8 to 13 is roughly 1.6. But to be precise, we'll call it 1.618. That's the golden ratio. So what Damon was talking about is that we can apply harmonic maths to 1.618. So think of 1.618. He was saying to double that frequency. So 1.618 doubled is 3236. So it's 3.236. So what if you can hold that number 3.236, slide the decimal 3 more places, make it bigger, we end up with 3000, or just slide it 2 more, you get 323.6. So 323 is an approximation to the rose the rose flower oil signature. So then he's saying we can double 320 and get 640, which is an approximation to the heart chakra. Is that what are we at the end of the day saying there's a resonance between the rose oil and
Yes,
how it influences the heart chakra, which is
absolutely.
639
This is
hertz?
what brings it back to the start, that what
Yeah.
rose represents love. I mean, what's the chances of that in ancient terms? These numbers have been written down for eons.
Yes.
What's the chances of the frequency of rose oil being the first harmonic of the heart chakra? Really?
Yes.
And the color is 639 nanometers, the hot red color that I was
Oh,
referring to.
yes, that's right.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
It's really, to me, it's what you talk about. You show people these patterns that they would otherwise maybe walk past and think nothing of it, think that it's like random nonsense, and it's not random nonsense at all.
So while we're talking about frequencies and hertz and cycles per second, you informed me through our communication that a lot of people are trying to work with crystals, like which crystals do I use to enhance the properties of my cream or rose or spray. So we were talking about the crystal ruby, and you informed me that ruby has a wavelength of 694.3 nanometers. So nano does nano mean, like, I think it means like a millionth off. A nanometer is about 1 millionth of a meter, so it's micro small. But I wanted to show you how six it is 694.3, but let's just think of it as 694. So in my research as a mathematician, I'm a mathematical nomad. I go everywhere, and I want to see, where does 694 appear.
No.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the screen and show something that Tesla did. It goes back to Tesla, actually. So
There we go. Yep.
can you see this ratio? There's we're taking the number one, and we're going to take the inverse of the speed of light, because the speed of light, we know, we're told that the speed of light is 186,624 miles, but the original calculations were done in nautical miles, which has got to do with 1 degree of arc around the planet, but and to allow for the curvature
It's
of
longer
the Earth.
too. Mm.
So it was actually 144,000 nautical miles of grid arc per second. So in harmonic maths, we can say we can drop the zero. So 144,000 becomes 144, but we're going to look at the inverse, because let's say 144 is like the macro. Well, this, when we go one divided
Mm.
by 144, we're looking at its micro, the macro, micro, inner, outer. So
It's reflection. Yep.
if you get your calculator, I think I've done it here on the calculator. So on the calculator, if you divide one by 144, you get 0.0069444. So we say it's 694 repeater, but we're allowed to slide the decimal. We're allowed to drop the zeros and slide the decimal, and you get 694.4. So this is interesting, because what Tesla did was that he had an
Isn't
aerial.
it?
He invented pretty much like the first car, which was followed by Buckminster Fuller, but he put an aerial on the back of this car. He could run a motor on the ether, or the harmonics of air, and the length of his antenna was 6.944 feet. See, that's another harmonic. These are all harmonics of 144. But we always have to look at the reciprocal. Like you were talking before, we got to look at the yin and the yang. So I was always fascinated, like it's interesting that the Tesla car actually was a reality, and today we do have a Tesla car by Elon Musk. So it's kind of like the reincarnation of Tesla in the modern day Tesla car. But he did produce the first car. But we're talking about the first electric car based on the harmonics of light, and he did this in 1931. So I just wanted your thoughts on this harmonic maths, Tesla, speed of light. You had some information about 144 when you doubled 108 and took it from 360. You had some information on the phone, which,
Yes, that's to do with water. I'll just finish the Ruby thing. If
yeah,
anyone's missed it, when we're saying 694.30 or 694 nanometers,
yeah,
that's the wavelength of Ruby. And really what we're saying is that's the color. So I was referring to rose color being 639 nanometers. It's a little bit lower.
Yeah.
When we go up to 694, it's a darker red. So that's what we're talking about with rubies.
Right.
And I wanted to say something to you, Jane, which is mind blowing to me,
Yeah.
is if you calculate the frequency of ruby, which is very easy to do, velocity
Yep.
is frequency times wavelength.
Yep.
So back to your speed of light, the frequency of ruby is, drum roll,
Yeah.
432 terahertz.
Oh, so that brings that into the conversation. Love it. 432 again. Yes. Which is four
There it
lots
is.
of 108. It's going back to the 108 fundamental frequency.
Yes.
Four lots, is that right?
And again, you
Yeah.
kind of can't make this up, can you?
Yeah, no.
So terahertz is very, very high. Terahertz is a frequency kicking around light, basically.
Yeah.
And that's just a bucket load of zeros. So when I just call it reduction mathematics, I'm
Yeah.
not a mathematician, but that's what I call it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, the zeros are simply multipliers and the decimals are dividers, which is the same as a wave going out in yin and yang, male, female. These reflections are everywhere.
Yeah.
So if we go, what that means is the color of ruby and therefore the properties of the crystal have special properties. Special
Mm.
properties. We're kicking around these numbers, and that means that nature has the ability to harmonize with these things maybe better. So
Yeah.
if we go back to what you just said about the 108 angle, I call it the magic angle of water. If something is to vibrate in a particular plane, then it needs to invert itself one way or the other.
Right.
And if you take the 360 degrees of the water molecule, let's
Yes.
just call it perfect water at 108,
Yep.
just close to spring water.
Yeah. Oh, we've
And if we double that number, to give 216, and you're the mathematician, okay? I'm just pointing this out. The remainder from 360 degrees, so 360 minus 108 minus 108
yep.
is the molecules flipping.
Yep.
You end up with 844.
Right.
There's your number yet again.
I think I've got where's Sheskin? I think I've got an image on 144. Let me just have a look. I've got two images on 144. For first of all, it's not a big image, but can you see this decagon?
Ah,
Deca
yep,
means 10. So
yep.
that internal angle, you can see it's more than 90 degrees. It's at 144 degrees. So that means there's an intimate relationship between what you were just talking about, between 144 degrees and DNA, because I'll show you what DNA looks like. But here's another view of 144. If we want to look at an internal angle of 144 exists between two arms of the pentagram or the pentagon.
There it is again.
So we know
Yep.
there's the 108 at the top, but two lots of 72, because the five partitions are 72 degrees each. So two lots of 72 is 144. But I want to show you DNA because we we I had DNA before. Where is it? The most important diagram. It better be here. Here it is. So this is the DNA. I showed it before, but
Ah, there you go.
so even though we're looking at this mystical geometry based on tenness, it's actually reflecting the 144-degree speed of light harmonic
Per-
in every facets of it. And so I've got it
Perfectly.
here as a cymatic. I don't know if I'll show you the cymatic pattern for it. I'll just stop share.
Yep. Wow.
But
Beautiful.
if you were to look at the reflection on there, can you see that at all? That
Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
So this image here is the slice. The if when we slice DNA, we see it as a pentahexa molecule, which I'll show you. But this is the cymatic view. This is sound made visible or light made visible, and it's 10-sided. But this is the um, structure of DNA. So if you're walking up, say, a spiral staircase, which is the double helical counter spin rotation, and you stopped on your staircase and say, I'm going to slice that molecule. This is a slice, and you see it's based on hexagons, joined with pentagons. I call that pentahexagon, but that rectangle in the middle is a
Mm.
golden rectangle. It's the phi ratio that's 1 is to 1.618. I believe that's the hydrogen zipper. The when DNA replicates, it unzips itself, the zipper, and it's all based on the golden ratio,
Yes.
1.618. And that golden
Hydrogen bonding, they call it. Yeah.
yeah, so that golden ratio, um, I think what this diagram is saying that the time it takes for this atom to come to do a full turn and come back to where it was is if that's 1, this is 1.618. Or if this is 21, that's 34. That's like 21 nanometers versus 34. I think 2134 is the spin rate of the sunflower pattern. It's 24 spirals one way and 34,
Yes.
like we did with the pine cone. So so the flowers are also reflecting all these DNA properties. But I just thought that was fascinating that we are everything that we're seeing in the outer world, it's being reflected. We are this geometry in our cells. And I wanted to just close one more and get you speaking again. But we we're talking about the golden ratio. So what you're really looking at here is an antenna. And how did I get this antenna? It's all based on the number
Mhm.
108. If you were to add up all of these lengths, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7, they come from the digital reduction of the Fibonacci sequence, which I don't have here. Um, but in a nutshell, in another episode, I can explain it more. But when we look at the infinity of the Fibonacci sequence, it goes 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. It goes forever. When we take away 999 from every number, we end up with a 24 code. So there's 24 discs here that each have a precise measurement. I've circularized every number, but originally it was just like graph paper. So those 24 numbers, if you were to add all these lengths, it adds up to 108. So it's kind of a visual representation. It's taking the mathematics of divinity and turning it into a frequency. So this is something I'd love to do with you one day is when I come and visit you, can we come somehow work with this antenna? And I've taken this length here and I've done it once, twice, three times. We can keep adding it. It's like a projection.
Absolutely.
But
Yep.
but this is
And
where
you're right, it is
yeah,
anything that has the capabilities to resonate with another harmonic frequency
yeah,
is by definition an antenna. And by the way, they equally transmit as well.
yeah. And that's what fractal means. They say now the definition for fractal is when the inside is the same as the outside. So it kind of suggests the word scale. When we think of scalar waves that can exist in the micro and the macro, but there's a self similarity when
Yes.
so yeah,
So you can
yes,
have a wave going out, which let's just say it's spherical, like if you drop a rock on a pond or something.
yeah,
Those waves, we've all seen them on the water traveling. But if it meets with a harmonic of itself, which is what you're referring to with all these numbers in mathematics, some people might go in one ear and out the other. The point is this: if those numbers are related to each other, which is really what you're saying, and there's either light and sound involved in this or energy, then they must harmonize.
yes.
And that's getting into standing wave country, which is, I guess the best analogy is plucking a guitar string, that you don't watch the wave go back and forth on the guitar string. You'll see this fixed pattern that's not moving. That's a standing wave.
Here's a
And the
got
next level beyond standing waves is scalar waves.
so I've got an image of the standing
Oh, there
waves.
we go.
So there's the fundamental on the left. Can you explain what's
One,
going
two, three,
on?
4, 5, 11 harmonics.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the left is the most simplest, longest wavelength that fits between those 2 points up and down that you've got. And if you want to fit another frequency in there, then that's the second one, which
So do we call
I
that
don't
the
even know what
second
that looks like,
harmonic?
Jain, but
Is that the
yeah, the
second
second
harmonic
harmonic.
or the octave? We can call it a
Each
musical octave.
Yes, each time you add one half of a wavelength, you get the next harmonic. So I can't count it, but I'm going to guess there's 11 there.
Okay.
And you can see that the frequency goes up and up and up and up as you go to the right hand side. So any one of those frequencies in there will resonate on that one string.
Right. That's amazing. So sound is all part of the equation now. The sound is just vibration, frequency. Yeah, everything. The future in medicine is obviously, would you say the future of medicine is in sound or frequency or vibration? It's all connected. Understanding these
I
nodal.
have no, I have no hesitation in telling you the future of medicine will definitely be involved in light and sound,
Yeah.
light, sound, and then below that frequency, scalar waves, harmonics, everything that you're talking about. And if somebody was to say, yeah, look, I reckon the 639 is that it's 639 hertz, and
Yeah.
then you can go up to kilohertz, megahertz, terahertz, etc., gigahertz. If you get that number on the human chakra system, then what it means is you can resonate with that organ using certain frequency technologies. You could be sitting, I told you, Jane, I was designing a special spa. You can sit in a spa
Yeah.
and put certain harmonics through the water. And we were talking the other day about the fact that the speed of sound vastly increases in water and the
Right.
speed of light slows down. So you can tune these things up. And I have no doubt that this is the future of medicine, or part thereof anyway,
Yeah. What you
coupled with
reminded
consciousness.
what you reminded me of there, I'm just digressing a bit onto med beds, but I want to come back to this chakra system on the screen. So we're talking about healing, and but there's a lot of controversy on the internet right now about be very careful of med beds. Like we know that the future will be med beds, but what we're concerned, so med bed is in a naive way, it's saying that some amazing machine or robot or other person's going to come and heal you and regrow your arm or leg or heal your cancer, which is there's a slight disempowerment about that, that someone outside of you is going to heal you where a machine or frequency is going to heal you. But I'm pro frequency and machines. But what I'm talking about, what I'm concerned about, it's like with, let's say you're an inventor. I'm not interested in what you make or the toy that you design. I'm
Mm,
interested in the consciousness of the inventor because your consciousness will be imprinted into that very
absolutely.
invention. So I'm not against technology. I'm pro technology. We're born into it and we can't stop all this AI. But what I'm fascinated by is we need to find the right healers who have an advanced consciousness based on nature, love, kindness. Otherwise, I'm not interested in the med bed because I'd be very cautious of well, who's creating
I agree.
med beds. Is that a concern for you as a healer? And
I haven't thought too much about it. However, I perfectly agree with you that
mm,
really externalizing dis-ease in a way is, sort of like looking for a solution in the wrong place.
yeah,
That's why I believe there's a famous saying,
mm,
physician heal thyself, right? It's
exactly.
not the physician healing themselves, the physician saying, hey, you go and you have more capabilities. Now, I can't formally say this as a medical doctor.
Mm,
Unfortunately, we just don't have that freedom of speech the way we would like to. I mean, it's just an idea and it's not causing any harm to anyone. People are
yes.
going to figure this out anyway. They already have. But I agree with you that ultimately, um, I had an image on the Bush Clinic's Facebook page of the Tribune Man. And I think you were talking about him
Yes.
the other day with David Sarita.
Yes.
I can't remember exactly. Don't quote me on this,
Yeah.
even though I wrote it. But it was something along the lines of, what if you are the most advanced technology yourself
Oh, I
that's
love
ever
that.
existed?
That's powerful.
And really, that one image sums up, I think, what you and I are dancing around talking about is the more you go within, the more you hit the nail on the head, and the
Yeah.
more you externalize it, you know, and don't necessarily take responsibility for whatever you did. That externalization process is not necessarily going to take you where you want to go. It might be a stepping stone, like you said, and I'm not up to speed with med beds. I
Yeah.
can tell you there is technology coming, and I can also tell you the majority of what I've seen doesn't make a lick of sense to me, and
Good.
I'd be very, very cautious of it. Unfortunately, that if people need to get their head around a new device to get better in order to learn their own consciousness, that's great, go for it. But the truth is, I think you're saying that you can shortcut it, and your consciousness intent is really what stacks the coins at the end of the day. And we're right back to Professor Emoto again, aren't we?
I was just going to say that when we said it's not just words, it's also thoughts, and that it's our duty to keep ourselves as healthy as possible. And when we need help, there will be help, but it's our duty. You can operate on someone, but they'll start smoking again, so it's up to the person to heal their habits and whatever damage or neurological problems, they've got to go in and heal the wounds, which
Ultimately,
ultimately,
ultimately.
if we
And
can.
like I said, I got to be very careful what I say here.
Yeah,
If we're not giving you medical advice here.
of
If
course. Yeah.
anyone's crook, you got to go and see your GP. And everybody chuckles. We all know
Yeah.
what that means. The message that you're putting across there is very significant, Jane.
Yeah.
Spot on.
Well, I'm fascinated because I renunciated a medical career. I always wanted to do medicine, but I chose in the end to travel the world and got caught up in traveling to different cultures, living with Aboriginal people. But I renunciated. I did go to university, but I studied communication and language and art and writing. But so deep down, my interests are in medicine. So when you said spring water, natural medicine, this is well, maybe in this world, because we're in a world of duality, we need to integrate. I've had so many accidents in my life. I got someone put a blade right through my chest once. I lost all my blood. I died. And
Oh,
so,
that's rude.
so medicine and hospitals have saved my life. I've had many medical incidents in my life. So I'm always
Yeah,
thankful
absolutely.
to the emergency in the repair of the human body. So I'm in awe of doctors and medicine. But I think we need to come
Yeah, this
together
can't be
and
taken out of context.
yeah, that's all it is. It's an integration. And I wanted to go back to the 144, just on the share screen. So back to this image. You can see there's the books behind me. This is my library. So sometimes I do big, because I'm dyslexic, I do everything big. So I've done a big chalkboard. I cut out this circular chalkboard so I can
Awesome.
do a big picture of the chakra. But I want to show you where 144 is lurking in the chakra system. So just visualize where the third eye is. When you learn about the third eye, it always has two petals. So there's actually traditionally there's no number for the third eye chakra. It says 96, but I'll tell you how I got the 96. So we're going to examine this Kundalini stuff. It's like an internal antenna. We're going to add four for the Muladhara, I think four petals, six petals for this. This is the sexual area, then 10 for the um, cauldron, this and 12 for the heart and 16 for the throat chakra. They've got Indian names, but if you add 4 plus 6 plus 10 plus 12 plus 16, I think you get 48, right? We get 48. So now we're going to double because of the two petals here in the third eye, the Ajna chakra. If we double the sum of all of this information here, we double it, we get 96. So that's where the
96,
96
yeah.
came from. I never knew that. I read this on the internet somewhere. So now if we add these five chakras, 4 plus 6 plus 10 plus 12 plus 16 plus the 96, I believe we get 144. And then there's the seventh chakra here. This is all symbolic. It may be wrong, but this is a credit
Mm.
to the ancient Vedic knowledge. So if we multiply the 144 of all this data by the 1,000 petals of the um, crown chakra, you get 144,000. So this is another internalized antenna that we were talking about before inside of us in our
Yes.
Kundalini. So any thoughts on that about the chakras as wheels of light or any thought?
Well, yes, and I wanted to say that if you look up the supposed agreed frequency numbers, like 639 we were talking about, which is a combination of 369 back to Tesla, all of them will reduce to 369, 369 as you travel through. And I believe an excellent analogy for thinking about the chakra system is if you go to the crown chakra and just say, right, I'm just going to pretend that's the sun, just for fun, like
Yep.
solar system.
Done. Yep.
then all of the planets must fit a harmonic node, or they wouldn't be orbiting, right? And I can tell you that this was demonstrated many, many, many years ago. It's not really taught. They have long since been able to calculate the position of all of the planets in the solar system, postulate that there might be something missing, and also the asteroid belt
Yes.
is lying in one of these harmonic nodes. It's still there
Yeah.
around the sun in a
I think,
disk.
I think that's
And
Ceres.
and so
The largest asteroid is Ceres, I believe.
oh yes, yes, yes,
Between
yes.
Mars and Jupiter,
Yeah,
the
it's
asteroid
still
belt.
there.
Still there, yep.
But, but though if you look at the orbits accurately and you just pretend that the sun is the crown chakra of the human body, as you go down, some of these numbers start to make a little bit sense. And ironically, Mercury, Venus, Earth, that's the heart chakra again.
Yes. Oh, yes.
There's a lot of interesting similarities. And look, if anyone's curious about this, go and study ancient architecture
Yep.
overseas, Angkor Wat. If you look at Angkor Wat lying on its side, it's actually showing you the chakra system of the human body.
I just got
It's
invited to
and
teach.
many other buildings.
I just got an email last week from some sound therapists. They're doing a big symposium in Angkor Wat, and they want me to come and speak on 432 hertz there. So I'm going to do a big seminar next year.
That'll
I
be fun.
haven't committed
You
yet,
want
but
someone to carry your bags?
yeah, but I've always wanted to teach at sacred sites. But just while you're talking about the image of the sun, when you talked about the sun, um, the magic square of the sun, it's a 6 by 6 square. So imagine something like this is a magic cube, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 5 by 5. But imagine a 6 by 6 square from 1 to 36, but all the columns, the 6 columns add up to 1, 1, 1, the 6 rows add up to 1, 1, 1, and even the diagonals. So it's a harmonic bell. It's ringing 1, 1, 1. Well, I wanted to show you, I wanted to share a screen when you're talking about 639 hertz. So share. Um, when you were, so when you, oh, sorry, where is it? Here it is. So when you were talking about the solfeggio scales, you're talking about 639 hertz for the heart chakra. Um, these are all these solfeggio scales come from if you look at your phone, if you just look at your phone pad 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's called a natural square. It doesn't all add up to the same number, but we can rearrange like 3, 6, 9 and make it 9, 6, 3. There's 6 ways of rearranging this as an anagram. We can call it 693 or 639, like you said. So traditionally they put these solfeggio triplets from the phone pad starting with 174, 285, 396. There's 639. But if you notice that these nine, this is a nine-pointed star, but there's nine solfeggio scales here or frequencies. But notice that the difference between 174 and the next one, 285, is 111. And the difference here is 111. The difference between every successive number is 111. This is what we call like number theory. It's just, but it links up to these harmonic numbers that we were talking about. I just thought that was interesting when you talked about the
Oh,
sun.
completely random, right?
Yeah, completely random. That's
None
right.
of it's random.
Yeah.
None of it's random.
So we've got about
It's amazing.
we've got about 5, 10 minutes to go to do like an hour. So is there any other kind of topic you'd like to talk about? You're talking about the
Oh,
Star of
wow.
David. Could you explain? I made a note here that you're talking about the Star of David, the male and the female interpretations of the triangles. I'll see if I can find a Star of David. You were
Ah,
talking
okay.
about the
Yeah.
hip
So this is
woman. Yeah.
yeah, this relates to squaring of the circle, or cubing of the sphere. I, I would say this is really deep fundamental stuff.
Yeah. Well,
The
yeah.
macabre is the Star of David has the triangles inverted. So one going up and one coming down. And it's interesting that when you look at nature, I keep seeing patterns in flowers, leaves, the way mountains form, all sorts of stuff. And I find it fascinating that the macabre sort of represents male and female, yin and yang. They're complementary within nature. And that ironically, men have wider shoulders and narrower hips. And so this is back to your Vitruvian man.
So that's
Actually,
the triangle
there's
going
even
down.
more information.
So that's the triangle going down is the male. It's got wide shoulders, and you're saying that the female down here, she's got the wider
If you
hips.
really stretch your imagination, yeah,
Yeah,
you'll get that they are actually reflections of one another. I'm not trying to say this
yeah.
literally.
No, I know, I know.
I'm not being insane yet, but there is okay. Do you know what? Let's call it a ratio. Let's
Okay.
call it a ratio. Given I did forensic osteology for donkey's years, they love ratios.
Yep.
There is insane amounts of information in the human skeleton that fits the mathematics. And if you look at the ratios, you'll see that male to female forms that double triangular pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, you've got to stretch your imagination a bit, but the concept is there. And if you laugh it off too quick, you're probably going to miss the point that's being made.
Yeah.
One's up, one's down, complementary, yin and yang.
Love it. Yeah. So that's the power of symbols. There's so much information in all these symbols. Just
That's right. And shape. Mm.
um I was just wanting to know, is it possible? I've got lots of questions. Every time I see you, I've got 100 questions, but is it possible, say, because we're talking about water and we're going to close soon, is it possible to, say, remove fluoride out of the water? Like I've been following JFK in America, um, John F. Kennedy Jr. He's trying to, there's a few states in America that have campaigning and successfully made laws now to get fluoride out of the water because it's affecting our children's learning capacity and all sorts of stuff. But can you
Tends to
confidently
affect concrete
say
if you spill it on concrete too.
what happens when you spill it on concrete? Can you talk about how we
Ever
can?
seen the ever seen the movie Aliens?
Yeah,
They've
yeah,
got all these multiple layers. Pretend all those floors are concrete. You spill a bit of fluoride on concrete. Look it up on YouTube. It
okay.
just keeps going
And
straight
that's
through.
what's
It's
and that's
nasty
doing
stuff.
that to our brain. It's corroding our in the brain, and yeah,
Well, it's not healthy, and anyone that tells you it is, I'd maybe check their advice personally. And
okay,
yes, I understand that it's used to harden teeth, etc. But who's really talking about the long-term side effects of that? And yes, to answer your question, absolutely. There's
yep,
fluoride and chloride in water and a whole bunch of other things. And yes, there are ways to get it out. And I've had a particular interest in this for some time, along with PFAS. Not too keen on PFAS
yep. Is that what they
everywhere
is?
in our bodies.
Is the PFAS what they used on the Williamtown? My parents had a 150 acre property near Williamtown, south of Coffs Harbour, and they found that PFAS penetrated the ground level when they were using it to do fire extinguishing
Yeah,
models.
I
And,
remember.
and everyone's getting cancer. All the people in the Nelson Bay area suddenly found out there's a big class action stopping PFAS. And yeah, so this is we've got to stop all this. This has to. So it's about education and awareness that what we do to Mother Earth, we're doing to ourselves. If we're polluting Mother Earth,
Absolutely.
we're doing.
Perfectly said.
And that brings me on to the fire ants. Can you tell me about your view on these fire ants? What's going on? I've got some. There's an image of the fire ant here. Everyone's using a lot of poison to get rid of them, but I believe there's other natural ways to curb the population of fire ants because they're spraying all our mountains near Murwillumbah at the moment with toxic chemicals. So this is a really big concern. What's going on? Any views on
It is a
fire
big
ants?
concern.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow, that's an infinite topic. In short, there's a lot of chemicals, and I'm going to say more than ever before in the history of Queensland, probably hundreds of thousands of tons of chemicals at this stage being dropped from helicopter in areas where there are no fire ants and
Yeah.
there never will be. For example, I'm looking out the window at this beautiful rainforest going up the mountain,
Yep.
and it's been treated by chopper 4 times now.
Yep.
I,
Wow.
I certainly didn't ever give permission for this because my concern is the water. Now, fire ants are well known to go nowhere near rainforest, let alone any form of shade. They need the infrared heat and the ultraviolet from the sun. That's why they bring their eggs up to the surface and then
Oh,
bring them down to regulate the heat. They
oh,
can't do that in the rainforest.
exactly. Yeah.
And so why treat bucket loads of chemicals in the rainforest
Mm.
where historically I bet you they've never found a single ant's nest. And on our beautiful property here, if we get fire ants, I'll deal with it. I don't
Yeah.
want them any more than anybody else.
Yeah.
But we don't have to do hundreds of tons of poison because it gets in the water, doesn't it?
That's right. So this all
Gets
goes.
in the water.
So this is I created a new word for the healing of all of this tragedy is it's called ecosophy, eco for the environment, and Sophie, the Greek word for wisdom. So ecosophy is raising the awareness that whatever we do
That's
to
a good one.
Mother Earth, we do it to ourselves. So I want to sort of close slowly with two quotes and then just get your contact details. But one of my most favorite quotes, "How to change the status quo," is not banging your head on the wall. There's a quote here by Buckminster Fuller, and he kind of says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." So really, it puts that duty on us
Perfect.
not to become rebels,
Perfect,
but to
Jane.
say we've got a problem here, whether it's fire ants or fluoride, but we need to educate and create better systems. And just the final
You know
comment.
what Yoshimi and I say? We
No?
always say winning without fighting.
Can you say that again?
Winning without fighting. Yoshimi
Winning,
and I always say winning without fighting.
right. And I
It's a
think
deep
that's
thing for some people to get their head around, but it's basically what you're saying.
right.
Make a better system. The other one
Yeah,
will crumble away anyway.
yeah. And I'm just seeing if I've got your logo here or your if I put your contact details here. Um, anyway, I've got a quote here. I'll get your contacts in a minute. I just want to finish with a positive quote. This is something I found from Barbara Masiniak. And this kind of summarizes, I hope, what we're both trying to say. Everything changes when you start to emit your own frequency rather than absorbing the frequencies around you and also from other people. When you start imprinting your intent on the universe rather than receiving an imprint from existence. Yeah, so that's a
That's a
favorite
wonderful
quote.
quote.
She came to Byron Bay, so I got to meet her, and
Wow. Yep.
I always remember that quote she gave. So can you talk
That's
a
a
little bit
wonderful
about
quote.
on your bush clinic logo? You've got some beautiful Japanese writing. I don't have it on the computer, but on your
Uh,
card here, I noticed this beautiful Japanese writing. Could you close off with, yes, there it is. Can you tell us what that means as of water, or is that what it means? Can you elaborate? What's the profundity? Why is that so important to you? And we'll
it's
close on.
very important to me, actually. We'll close on this one. Well spotted, Jane. It's actually hand painted on some bamboo up there. I always have it
Yes.
kicking around. The text on the side in English says "as of your heart," which is
Oh,
strangely grammatically not correct. The Japanese text is sort of ancient. I don't know if ancient's the word, but it comes from the original samurai, and that logo is from the original hand painted text in a dojo. Actually, it was kept secret for many years. And Japanese people, like my lovely wife, that can read Japanese a lot better than me. I'm
yes.
limited to words like Toyota and Isuzu, and that's about it for me.
Mhm.
They say, no, 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 your text is wrong.
Oh,
It doesn't make sense. I can't read the kanji. Actually, it's correct. And the samurai knew to follow their heart. They knew the significance of that because your heart is that place of love, unconditional love. And that is synonymous with truth. So I'm going to say
Yeah.
truth, light, and unconditional love. Traditionally that is embodied within the heart. And so when I say as of your heart, that was the best translation that I could come up with. It means follow your heart, follow your highest passion.
Can you see
Just
the
go
light?
along with it, you
Can
know.
you see the light on this woman's heart in the center of the torus? I'm reflecting the light from my window.
It's slightly off screen actually for me,
Oh,
but
is it?
I can see the edge of it. Oh,
Okay.
there we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is. I've got
You're
a white.
showing a magnetic field of the human body, the
Yeah,
north and
because
south.
the first organ to form in the human body, it wasn't the brain. Everyone thinks the brain, but it was actually the 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 first organ to form was the human heart, and that's the beginning and the end of everything. Is walking a path of kindness and love. And but look, I can't. I think we're gonna have to
Absolutely.
do a part two. There's so many more questions I want to ask
It
you.
would go on forever.
You're an amazing library of medical knowledge and wisdom and philosophy, and we need to
Thank you, Jane.
talk more about. I think it's our duty as educators to share our stories and to align ourselves with what's real, and so thank
Yeah,
you for
our truth.
and
Well,
so
thank you so much, Jane.
do you have an email or website? How can you be contacted? Is it info@thebushclinic.com.au? Is that right? Or can you
Yes,
correct that?
that's probably the best one.
Is
Yeah,
that the best way for
info
you to
at
be contacted at? Yeah.
thebushclinic.com.au.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's probably the easiest way.
okay. Well, we'll get some
We've got
feedback
lots of
from
exciting things coming up.
yeah, I mean, I want to follow up with this conversation because medicine and healing and taking control of our being in the driver's seat of our own health is really critical and important that we take charge of our health. And actually, I've got a symbol of health from the ancient Pythagoreans. I'll just do one more share screen. Um, I believe I put it in here. It's a pentacle. I hope I put it in here. Um, Normally, I have a five-pointed star. Um, no, no, it's not here, so that's no good. I had some art forms in nature here. I forgot this whole folder. Um, I had all these amazing images to show you
Lovely to look at
forms in
too.
nature.
Yeah.
I've got this is another lecture we can do. So maybe when we come back, we can look at, say, the micro. This is a
Diatoms, yes.
phytomicrograph of a diatom which lives in the ocean. And to me, what we're really seeing is this highly organized cellular structure. So what technology is doing successfully is making visible the invisible world by having these amazing microscopes. But I believe it's kind of um, it's showing us a living organism that's resonating pure beauty, sophistication, intelligence, and it is a cymatically tuned instrument of the highest order, a symphony of
Absolutely.
symmetry.
Back to the same topic again.
Yep, it's a community of living souls living at all scales of existence. When you're talking about the scalar waves, atomically, galactically, it's a pure code of creation. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you for having me,
Looks
Jane.
like we got a lot more to talk about. So, we'll keep in touch. See you. See you, Damon.
Thank, thank you so much, Professor Jane.
Thank
To
you.
me, you're a wonderful professor, and I think everybody listening will agree with that.